Okay, if you remember back, we shortened the frame on the Sauerkraut C10, so it's now a short bed truck instead of a long bed truck. Well, another issue you have to address when you do that is the drive shaft. So here you can see this big long 2-piece shaft is the original drive shaft. And I could take that to a drive shaft shop and have them either take a little bit out of the front and keep it a 2-piece shaft, or have them make me a 1-piece shaft that'll fit in there. But I actually have this one laying here that I took out of I believe an S10 pickup. But based on the tape measure, it's about the right length. So we're going to try and use it. I did find out though, this yoke is no good. You probably can't see in there. No, you can't see in there, but the splines are actually twisted in there. So it won't slide down all the way. And the U-joint back here is a little bit different. So I had to get a conversion U-joint that has the right size for the shaft on this end, and then the right size for the yoke on the rear axle on the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and replace those U-joints and put a new slip yoke on the end of it, and we'll see if my measurements are right and if it fits. All right, so this is a GM shaft, but these have been replaced once already. So there's clips down on the inside here that we got to take out. I'll just go grab a screwdriver quick. We should be able to pop those out. And then, anyway. But this drive shaft also, I think it was actually redone at one point in time and made a little bit longer than a regular S10 drive shaft. I don't think there's any way I'd get lucky enough that an S10 drive shaft would just fit in there. But this drive shaft has obviously been modified. You can tell it's been re-welded and balanced at some point. So it just happened to measure out to what I need. I believe it was like 54 inches is what I came up with. Anyway, I'll grab that screwdriver and we'll get started. Yeah, so anyway, there's clips like this on the inside of the U-joints on these GM shafts. So you just got to pop those clips off. And then the way I was taught how to do this, use your bench vise and a hammer, and just hit right next to the yoke there. You'll be able to push these right out. There's one. There's two. That should slide right out of it. All right, and then we're gonna leave the rest of that in the yoke because we're not gonna use that anyway. So I'll probably go get a wire brush. We'll clean this up a little bit. Make it, I guess, a little bit more pretty to put back in there. Okay, we'll just check everything out, make sure the bores look okay. You know, nothing's out of round or obviously messed up. And this one looks okay. I mean, if you do this method where you pound them out with a hammer, just be careful, because if you wail on it a little too hard or hit it, you don't want to dent the shaft. And then, you know, if you wail on it a little too hard, you could bend that yoke, but I don't know. I think you really have to be trying to mess it up. I've done hundreds of them this way, and it always seems to work. But anyway, I've got a used yoke that we'll go and put in its place. Grab our new U-joint sitting here on the bench. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Like I said, there's a different one for each end. This one will have Alright, yeah, so this one has 4 internal snap rings. So this is the one for the front here. Another thing you want to do, I mean, if you got, you know, it's got a grease zerk in the center here, so you can grease it, it's greasable. So you want to think about that when you're putting the shaft in. Almost every engine I've ever seen, they turn clockwise clockwise as you're looking at them from the front. The crank does. So if you're looking at them from the back, that's actually the opposite way. It's counterclockwise. So the transmission and drive shaft are going to spin counterclockwise as you're looking from the back to the front. So I was always taught to put your greaser where when you're going forward or when you're doing a, if you're doing a burnout or a launch, you want that to be in compression because that's the weakest part of the U-joint. So if everything's turning counterclockwise, we want that zerk to be either here or here. So just something to think about. I don't honestly know if it'll make a difference, but that was the way I was taught. And it makes sense. So we'll slide that in there so they're like so. And what I usually do is I'll use the vise to start it. Because the vise should be pretty square, straight. Put it in the middle here. So should get everything to go in there. Now you want to make sure that it moves pretty freely. Oh, I'm losing my stand here on the other end. So just make sure that my vise is not all that. Yeah, make sure that wiggles. If something, if that gets tight for some reason, then you should stop because something's not right. See, that pushed them almost all the way in, just like that. That makes it real easy. And we'll go ahead and we'll put the yoke on quick. We'll get that one squared up just the same. Slide that over. Oh, you got to do the side without the greaser though if you want it to get on there far enough. And the same thing with the caps there. Everything still moves freely, so it's in there most of the way. Then what we'll do from there is just tap them in the rest of the way. Now that one doesn't seem to quite be going in there. There's a chance that there's a bunch of needle bearings in there. There's a chance sometimes one of those needle bearings will fall off into the end and then you can't get it to go on all the way. Oh, it looks like it went. Alright, so that one's on all the way. This one could go just a little bit further. Sometimes, yeah, we'll probably have to do that here. Sometimes they need to be recessed into there just a little bit to get the clip on the inside. And do that, I just use a socket. So let me grab a socket, we'll tap. You just want a socket that's about the same size as the cap. This is pretty darn close. Yeah, and that'll recess it just a little bit. And you'll notice it'll get a little stiff when you got it all the way in there, but I mean, it'll still move freely, but you'll feel just a little bit of drag. Do the same thing with the, do it here a little bit more on the vise. So. Alright, then we'll put our clips on. You drop them on the floor, make a big mess. That one's, yeah, should go on there. And you should be able to just, usually you can just push them right on, but sometimes they're a little stubborn. I'll try the other. Sure, we got one. Might have to tap that just a little bit more. Can't quite get that clip in there. Wow, that baby's really being a bugger. See if we can give it a little help with a pair of pliers here. That actually worked. Alright, so that one's on. My air compressor kicked on, so you probably can't hear a word I'm saying. We're almost done. There. That clip, last one for this U-joint. Just there. Stand it on end here. I do with oh, screwdriver and then I knocked on the floor. Just get that in there to make sure they're on all the way. Give them a couple little taps. And you can kind of see them right down in there, you know where they're at. And then just make sure everything moves nice and free when you're done. You should be good to go. Don't forget, squirt a little bit of grease in there. Before you, well, you can do it after you put it in too, but just don't forget to put a little grease in there, otherwise they won't last very long. And yeah, you're all set, good to go. I figured I should probably show you before I throw it in there quick, but this is that conversion U-joint. This one's, I got it from Napa, but it's a SKF brand, UJ372, in case you're wondering what the part number was. But if you look at it real close, you can see there's an internal clip here for the clamp and then external clips on these caps. And if you look really close, you can tell one side's bigger than the other too. Yeah, so If you know what you're converting from and to, apparently it's really easy. They had a book right at the parts store that said, hey, if you got a, this size U-joint here and this size U-joint here, this is the part number. So it was pretty easy to figure out what I needed. Guys up in Napa were real helpful. But yeah, here it is. I'll go ahead and put it in quick. All right, we're gonna bring this drive shaft down through here, and then I'll grab the creeper. I'll meet you down there. Well, hey there. Slide it up in there in the front. Apparently my transmission is not in neutral, which I'm gonna need it to be. Hang on one second. I got a new strap kit because I didn't get one with the truck apparently, or if I did, I haven't found it yet, and I didn't really want to use one of the super rusty ones off the parts trucks. They've both been sitting for a really long time. So I splurged and bought some hardware. Alright, we're gonna have to go tighten these up the old-fashioned way with a regular wrench, but this will. So bear with me. Got it pretty tight right there at the end. I'll have to squirt some juice in there, I think. So bear with me. So it turns out that these holes, the threads in them are packed with rust or mud or something was in there, but the bolts for the strap kit didn't want to go down. So I'm running a tap through all the threads real quick just to clean them out. It just seemed to be the bottom half of the hole pretty much, but this should get us where we need to go. So I did the top two, or I guess this is the last one. So I did the top two already. You saw me finish up the third one. This is the last one. We'll spin this quick, and then I'll crawl under there and we'll put the drive shaft in once again, hopefully for the last time. Alright, it should slide right in. Like so. Pretty sure I left the straps right up here. There's the other one. And then it looks like this one might be a little tricky to get some grease in there with the strap on, so we're going to shoot some grease in there before we tighten it down, just in case. Hopefully we don't have to loosen that strap every time we need to grease that. Alright, at least we got some grease in there, so, oh, I might over grease it. She looks like she puked out, but it'll just sling everywhere once we go drive this thing. It'll be fine. Well, now the drive shaft's in. I think that's going to do it for today. Hopefully we'll be able to get to it a little bit tomorrow. I need to get the fuel lines and the fuel system rigged up. And realistically, once we get to that point, we're going to have to run some wiring. And, you know, we'd be able to start it on a jump start and probably drive it in and out of the shop. But we're going to be hitting this thing pretty hard the next week or two here. We're middle of May already. Power Tour is a little bit less than a month away. I'd really still like to drive this thing. We'll see what happens. Be nice if it was running already, because I'm sure there's going to be a few kinks to work out, but who knows? Maybe we'll do that on the road. That'll be exciting. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe, like, share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.